should you pre-order? What's going on, guys? I'm here to talk to you about the new PS4 exclusive they're gonna show on E3, and it's called Neo, made by Team Ninja, the same guys that made Ninja Gaiden.
Ninja Gaiden! Hey!
Whatever. And the DOA games. First off the bat, I want to say this game has tons of personality and style. It has a very Japanese style to it. You feel the history, the music is phenomenal, excellent music. The characters and all the enemies designed perfectly like you'll see in feudal Japan or in all the legends about Oni and stuff like that. For example, the devil that I'm fighting here, that looks completely like an Oni mask. Now, I'm not a huge Japanese culture fan, but I did always find history and I watch anime a bit, so I found this game very drawing to play because it's something completely different. Even though it has a lot of the elements of Dark Souls and Bloodborne and Lords of the Fallen, it's something completely different. If you look at the combat system, you have 3 different stances. You can block with your sword and there's different weapons. This game may have a very Dark Souls vibe with its difficulty and its characters that can kill you pretty quick. It's not a Dark Souls game, and it's not trying to be. It may was the intention, but I think this game has enough personality to succeed even without being compared to the Dark Souls series. Now, all the creatures are unique in their design, but you can see they were taking a bit of something from Bloodborne, because the second boss, which was also a lightning boss, just like in Bloodborne with the Dark Beast, you can see there's a certain similarity, but the creatures' moves, sets, and design were very Japanese and their own thing. So there's a lot of inspiration, but there's also a lot of creativity. Now let's talk about the combat itself, like I mentioned before. You have 3 stances: upwards, which causes more damage but is harder for blocking; the middle stance, which is good for attacks and blocking; and the lower stance, which is very good for blocking and quick attacks, but causes less damage. Now you have different types of weapons. You have spears that shaped differently, you have axes and hammers that behave the same way but have different effect. For example, hammers causes more blunt damage, while axes are more sharp cutting damage, which depends on the enemy you're fighting. And of course there's the sword. Now this is the ultimate weapon because it has quick and sharp attacks while having some strong defense, and all the stances feel differently. It depends on the creature you're actually fighting. For example, if you're fighting a samurai using a sword, I think the spear is best for it because it keeps the distance between you. Now, except the weapons that I mentioned, you can also use shurikens, which is the ninja throwing stars, and also a bow and arrow, which I found very useful when you want to headshot some of the samurais that are guarding far away, and it's a good way to separate between the samurais and draw their attention for you to attack them. Pretty much like throwing stones, which is also here, which was popular during Bloodborne and Dark Souls, where you can throw stones and then separate, and then you'll be less overwhelmed by the amount of enemies that are attacking you. Okay, now let's talk about one of the key elements in this game, and that's the elemental summons. What this ability allows you to is to summon some kind of spirit that represents one of the elements in the game. which then turns your sword into a powerful weapon. It gives it an extra power. Now, in this demo, all we got to see was wind, water, lightning, and fire. I usually used fire because it seems like it caused a lasting damage. But each animal caused a different effect, which was a very interesting element. And according to the list, there were only, in this demo, only 4 animals, but it seems like they had space for more. Plus, I remember I had several weapons with earth element, and there was no animal for that. So I hope in the full game we'll have more animals to choose from, which adds a lot to the replayability of this game. As you can see, every time you use it, you have a great cinematic effect where the animal goes into your sword, which is very cool. The first time you do it, it only shows it very cinematic. The next time it's just happening, but you still see it go into the sword or the weapon you're holding. And as you can see, it's very beautiful to the eye. But one thing I didn't like about this is every time I used it, it causes me automatically to go into the middle stance, which I didn't really like. First of all, if I want a different stance to battle a certain creature, I prefer that stance, so I didn't want it to choose for me only the middle stance. I know this move is OP as hell and supposed to cause a lot of damage, but I still would like to do damage with the stance that I chose. Plus, I want to see, for example, if I use the axe and do the flip attack with the axe, it would be super cool to see that in effect with all the lightning going around you. I'm going to show you now the different menus of the game now. First of all, you have the equipment, which is what you have equipped with. You can choose 2 weapons, the primary weapon and the secondary weapon. There's also the bow with which you have, the armor, kind of charms to enhance your abilities, and of course the quick item. Like in Bloodborne, you can use the vials to heal yourself, and also you can have different charms and abilities, which, for example, you can use special fire notes to empower your sword with fire, which is not different from the animal that you used before. There are also, as you can see, legendary weapons and unique weapons, pretty much like different games like Borderlands where you have special weapons. It's very, there's kind of a loot system here which I don't think is very flushed out, but it's kind of a welcome addition that keeps it very different and interesting. Some people said online that they would have wanted it to be more your weapon and just using your weapon and changing it, but I think this is a very interesting, it's a nice way to mix it up, to have different weapons that look differently and have different abilities, so I didn't mind. The learn skill window enhances your abilities and the amount of damage you can cause with the summoned creature that you're using. As you can see, it enhances all your abilities and it looks like an interesting way. I just hope it will be more effective on the gameplay. I didn't feel that much of effect, maybe a little bit, but I didn't feel it had very great effect on the gameplay. I hope there will be more to this in the full game, but it did add, it's a nice element to add to the game, which I didn't run into Bloodborne or the first Souls game, so it's a nice feature. You can see here the different stats that you have. The level, the life, the key. The key is pretty much your stamina. As you can see, there's different strengths and skill. Dexterity is how fast you are or how much weight you can carry. The magic is how powerful your magic when you summon those creatures, or maybe you use one of the fire elements as an item. And the spirit is also, I think, the same element as that. As you can see, there's stats about the weapon 1 and weapon 2 melee. I don't know if I change between the weapons, how much does it affect if, for example, or all of a sudden I start using the axe as a melee weapon. I didn't notice any huge difference. As you can see, there's different defenses, which is also very depends on your strategy and which creatures you face. As you can see, there's different kinds of protection, and this game has many levels of strategy, which is great. It's not just a hack and slash. Here you can set up your combos For example, there is a combo where you attack your enemy with a few slash and then kick them on the ground so you can stab them. It's also a very nice element that I like, that you can add different combos to it. I know there was a certain something like that in Bloodborne where you can do certain combos, like after shooting them you can stab them in the heart, but I thought this game had an interesting way of letting you choose your combo, though I did think it was a bit limiting, but at least they kept their mind open for more combos, which I'm sure there will be in the full version of the game. Now this is the shrines. They are pretty much your bonfires of this game. What these bonfires allow you to do is choose the elemental animal that will accompany you during the game. Of course, you can change up every time you use the shrine. Just like the bonfires, they allow you to travel between different shrines in the game. They open access for you to trade your weapons for key and items if the gods grace you. Now, this is the element that I dislike the most in this game, because it seems that instead of a shop where you can buy items like in Bloodborne and stuff like that, you have to sacrifice your items and hope to get an elixir that will increase your health back. In case of, for example, there was a boss that kept kicking my ass, and every time I wanted to face him again, I had to grind enemies that will give me elixir, or kill enemies for items and then sacrifice them to get more elixir. You do gain some kind of coin in this game, but I didn't see a shop to use it, so I really hope this mechanic isn't in the full game. Otherwise it's just a grinding technique for the game to try and increase the time it takes to beat the game and make it seem like it's hard, but I really don't like this mechanic, and I hope it's not the only way to gain elixirs. Other than that, I do like it because it's a way for you to sell your loot and then use it to increase your keep. But it does take a while because you get a lot of loot, so you have a lot of items to manage and decide what to throw away, so you might make a mistake and then sacrifice an item that you didn't want to sacrifice. So yeah, it takes some work to get used to it. There is the Ready Jutsu screen, which allows you to set up a talisman that you can use to fire up your weapon, and there's another Jutsu ability, but I didn't come across it, so maybe we'll find out in the full version when it's released. The last part of the shrine is the goddamn frogs, alright? These goddamn frogs eat up your money, alright? They eat up your money more than Naruto's frog wallet. They're the only reason in the game to have coins. So that's why I think you need a shop, because these little bastards just eat up your money. And what they do is you find them in the game, and the more you find, the better the bonus they give. Now, they can either increase the amount of elixirs you get from enemies, or increase the amount of items you get from enemies, or amount of utilities or stuff that you might use from enemies. Which I thought was nice, but I thought it was pretty stupid that the only reason to pick up coins is for these fucking creatures instead of a shop. But they are cute, aren't they? Little bastards. You can also from the shrine summon a friend to help you out, and you can help out a friend. Now this is the map screen where you can join a friend and help him out, but as you can see, it's a nice effect that when you join him, there's a Japanese gate opening up, like you just got out of hell to help him out, which was pretty cool. But if you're gonna help out a friend, know that your level won't be the same as you are currently in the game. I think there's a way for the game that if you're helping out a friend that is like only level 8, you're gonna be level 8 as well, because I helped out a friend here fight one of the bosses and I felt weaker than I was really at. The last thing in this game is it allows you to choose between action mode and movie mode. Now, what's movie mode and what's action mode? Action mode is playing the game with downgraded graphics but at 60 frames per second. which makes the game more smooth looking, and it's better for you to dodge attacks and fight creatures. This is the mode that I usually prefer, the action mode, because I don't really care about graphics that much, and the design is still very visible and the graphics are great, so I prefer the action mode just so I can be better at the game. But it allows you for movie mode, which increases the graphics but downgrades the frame rate to I think about 30 frames per second. Now it's annoying that the game can do both, but it's nice that they have this feature for all types of players. Just like me, that I prefer the action, there's probably a gamer that likes playing the movie mode. So it's nice that they have the options, but it's important to mention that the difference isn't that visible to the human eye. Maybe just in the action mode seems like more smooth, but the graphics don't seem that different to me, so maybe that's a good thing. So I think, guys, you should pre-order this game, because while it takes a lot from Dark Souls and Bloodborne, for example, the second level boss that's also a lightning, just like the Dark Beast in Bloodborne, the design is very different and it has a personality of its own, and I think it's a game definitely worth your time because there's a lot of gameplay in it. It will take a good amount of time to beat it. For me, it took the demo about 8 hours, while some people said it took them about 5 to 6 hours. I think there's a lot to this game, and only $50 for the purchase of the pre-order. I think it's completely worth it. Now I wanted to update on the recent posting by AngryJoe. What he did was meet up with the developers, and they pretty much answered some of my questions in this video. So first off, there's another weapon, which is a dual katana, which looks freaking awesome. So that'll be fun to use. There was also a rifle. Except using a bow, you can also use a rifle. So that's pretty cool that it's very feudal lord Japan. Another thing, the game looks huge. Like a lot of stuff you can do. One thing I didn't like, and then I saw it also in the demo and in the video they posted, was that most enemies were humanoid. Kind of remind me of Dark Souls 2, where there's too many humanoid creatures. So I wish they had better variety of creatures, but oh well. And another thing we saw in Joe's video is that there's more animals that you can use as your spirit, and this time they showed an ox. Just like I thought there was supposed to be an animal for Earth, an ox. But what was cool is whenever you attacked with it, it seems like it was shooting the ox to attack the enemies. So that's a nice combination to see. And apparently there's a shop you can use to buy items. Thank God. And the last thing they said was that this game will be released by the end of the year. So currently the date for release is October, so they might postpone it by a month or two. I don't mind as long as the game isn't buggy and is complete. So yeah, I hope for at least we'll get it this year. So to sum it up, I think this game is definitely worth a buy, worth a pre-order in my opinion. But if Dark Souls isn't quite your cup of tea, then maybe borrow it from a friend and try it out, because it's definitely a cool looking game and I think you can enjoy it. Thanks for watching. You can like, comment and subscribe, or follow me on Twitter. I'm KobiCool, and I'll see you in the next video.